Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. Gervonta Davis, can Tank survive what's going on in boxing right now? Word on the street is, could be fighting Isaac Cruz and then Shakur Stevenson. Now listen, take it easy, Bob Marley. I didn't shoot the sheriff. It's just the rumors that are floating around on the internet. But my question is, when it comes to Tank's path back, Cruz first, then Shakur, can Tank really survive that, man? Because the spotlight is slowly shifting back towards Gervonta Davis. When he starts posting stuff out here on social media, letting people know there's something brewing, he could be back soon, people get excited. And I noticed it too. I'm like, damn, is Tank just out here just stirring the pot, or is Tank really in position to return to the ring? Now, what I will tell you is I hope Gervonta Davis has cleaned things up and he's going to be returning back to the ring, because I would like to see Gervonta Davis back. Now, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, I'll show you. This right here is Gervonta Davis. What's going on? Yes, we're back in action soon. So Gervonta is letting everybody know that he's back in action soon. Now, as far as him being back in action, they're like, well, who is it against? Now, it's supposed to be against Pitbull Cruz. But is the spotlight for Gervonta the same as it was before? Before it was about dominance. Now it's about questions. Where is he at mentally? Is he still the same fighter? Can he still control the division or divisions? At one point in time, people thought Gervonta Davis would dominate everybody from 130 to 147. They're not quite saying that now. So the path being discussed is very clear, in my opinion. Pitbull Cruz first, then Shakur Stevenson next. But I'm telling you this thing right now. This Cruz-Shakur path, I don't know if that shit's realistic or not, because he's out Pitbull Cruz, a rematch. Seems like a perfect fight on paper. Some say, well, why is that the perfect fight? I mean, they got the storyline. Boxing's about storylines. The first fight was very competitive, and Tank, reportedly only had one functioning arm. And Cruz brings pressure and credibility. He's increased his profile dramatically since the first fight with Tank. But at the same time, he's not seen as the highest risk opponent anymore, but still very dangerous. So him fighting Cruz is almost like a measuring stick fight just to see what Tank can do. Especially this time with a guy who's not as much of a threat, but still dangerous, but Tank has two arms. Then the Shakur Stevenson mega fight. I tell you what, if Tank can come in here and tranquilize Pitbull Cruz, knock him out, and get a really impressive win, I mean, the demand for Tank and Shakur Stevenson is going to skyrocket. That shit's going through the roof. That shit's going to be up, and away in regards to the demand. The narrative builds naturally. The styles clash perfectly. So, as far as the feasibility of it, hell yeah, it's realistic, but probably conditional. Tank has to win. And he can't just go in there and just scrape by. No, he's got to win convincingly, and I think he needs to knock out Pitbull Cruz to really get fans back on the Tank bandwagon, you know what I'm saying? But if he comes in there and just barely gets across the finish line, they're going to be like, nah, this ain't it. Leave Shakur alone. Shakur looking like a beast. Stop now. Because they understand Tank coming back from personal turmoil, man. Life outside the ring matters, folks. Fighters aren't machines, they're human. Whenever you got personal turmoil, focus gets divided, energy gets drained, and discipline can slip. We've all been there. I just try to understand what happens psychologically. Personal stress can lead to a lot of things. I've had it. Mental fatigue, being agitated, emotionally, I would call it emotional instability, reducing the sharpness in training. That's what personal stress can do to you. And when it comes to boxing, look, from everything I've read and researched, they say boxing specifically, this is critical because boxing requires split-second decisions, full concentration, emotional control under pressure. So even a small distraction can cost a fighter everything. But there is another side. Adversity can also harden a fighter, which Tank seems to be the kind of guy who would probably rise to the occasion and allow that and feed off of that adversity. Can increase the motivation, refocus the priorities, and build mental toughness, We know Tank's not weak. So the key question is, which version of Tank you're going to show up? A distracted Tank or a focused, re-energized Tank? Or a Tank who's kind of in between, like when he fought Lamont Roach? But I tell you what, Pitbull Cruz, I would call Pitbull Cruz the truth test. And this fight matters a whole lot. It's not an easy comeback fight. You know, Cruz, we already know what he's going to do. Be relentless, bring that pressure. He's durable, but heavy, heavy pressure. And he throws combinations. So what we're going to learn, because the fight's going to answer something, real quick, is Tank still dominant. So the possible outcomes if he gets in that fight, he'll win by decision. I mean, questions will remain if he wins by decision. The doubt's going to continue, But if Tank struggles, the momentum just stalls. It's over. The Shakur fight loses heat. It's not going to make sense. But if Tank gets in there and dominates and knocks this guy out, this is the ideal scenario. Knock his ass out. It's going to send a message. Rebuild the fear factor and creates that demand. But the reality is Tank likely needs a statement knockout, folks, not just a win. He got to remind everyone, I've had stuff going on in my personal life, but I'm still that guy. And the personal woes, I was succumbing to that around the time I fought Lamont Roach. So don't give him credit for that win because I was going through shit. Okay, we get it. Do the business against Pitbull Cruz and a lot will get erased, but you still got the Shakur Stevenson problem. Shakur looks untouchable. The man looks invincible. He got elite defense, ring IQ, controls the distance. His offense is on point. The perception, I'm telling you, the perceptions right now, many fans feel Shakur outboxes Tank and embarrasses him. It's because they're just looking at the styles and comparing them. We all know Tank has power. Well, I'm going to say he had power. He had counter-punching ability. He had patience. But right now, you don't know what you're getting. Shakur's been active. You know what he has. Movement, precision, defensive mastery. Shakur can do it all. Now, there have been some Teofimo comparisons because Shakur damn near tranquilized and dismantled that man when they fought. But they're like, Teofimo kind of like Tank, relies a lot on his power, counter-punching. He has patience. But Teofimo, I agree with that. He has shown flashes of similar, not 100%, but some similar explosive qualities like Tank. He kind of has an explosive style too. Got the speed, got the power threats, got the counter ability. He has those things like Tank. They're not the same fighter, but they share some of those qualities. And when a fighter like Shakur neutralizes that type of offense, it raises questions about Tank's approach. What's Tank going to do if Shakur did this to Teofimo? How is Tank coming off of being inactive? How the hell is he going to get in there and hang with Shakur? So the current narrative, what I'm picking up out here off the internet, is Shakur is going to equal controlling the fight. Tank's going to equal having to knock out Shakur Stevenson. And right now, the controlling the fight and getting a decision is favored by many fans. So Tank's got to do some things to flip the narrative. One, knock out Cruz. It's not even about just winning. He got to knock him out. And a dominant win, that's good, but he got to knock out Cruz. He got to show improved activity, higher punch output, more engagement. He's got to cut the ring off better. Against Shakur, this is everything. If he can't cut the ring off against Shakur, Tank's in trouble. And he's got to land early respect shots. He got to make, a guy like Pitbull Cruz cautious. If he fights Shakur, he got to make him cautious. And he got to be disciplined mentally. No distractions, no emotional lapses. These are things that Tank just needs to do. So if I was to sit here, man, and kind of wrap all this up, I'd say, this moment is about more than fights. I think it's about identity. Gervonta Davis is still trying to prove things to people, that he's still elite, still dangerous, still controls his destiny. That's because of everything he's been going through since the Lamont Roach fight. It's all been downhill. So the reality for Pitbull Cruz is a threat, but I think it's more of a test. But Shakur is the ceiling. Shakur is the ultimate. But I think it depends on what version of Tank shows up. What version of Tank is there? And that's what I think it is. Anyway, Tank's comeback path, that shit is brutal. Fight Cruz then Shakur, if that's what happens, no easy touches, I'll tell you that. Anyway, man, y'all keep cool. Leave your comments below. I'm in the breeze.